All right, we are leaving Uncle Johnny's. It is day 29. Is that right? 26, 27, 28. No, it's day 28, and it's Thursday, May 30th. We're crossing the Nolichucky River in Irwin, Tennessee. And we're just getting started. That's the hostel back there, beyond the trees there. And Riley is, he's had a lazy day so far. So he's not in hiking mode yet. That's okay. But we're just getting started with the day, and we'll check in later. It's about 2 o'clock, a little after 2 o'clock right now. Riley's getting his rolls in before we leave Irwin. We're still just getting out of Irwin, and we just crossed those railroad tracks. First time we've had to cross railroad tracks. Last night when we were sleeping, I heard several trains going by, so the horn of the train, and that must be where they were located, where the sound was coming from. One of the things that's unique to being on trail, or not necessarily unique, but unique for me, is that I often hear the sound of trains. Not like all the time, but when I'm on trail, there's several times during the course of the hike where I will be in a particular location and I'll hear the sound of trains going by or train horns that are blasting. And I usually live in an area where there aren't that many trains, so I kind of associate the sound of train horns with being on trail. So it's because of that, it's kind of a pleasant sound for me. So we're in the shade now, and we're gonna try to enjoy the day here. But we gotta go this way. All right, bye for now. All right, Riley and Van Gogh here checking in. We just crossed the road back there, and that's called Indian Grave Gap. And I saw this sign here on the tree, which I've seen many times, but I haven't shown it on camera, so I wanted to show it here. It's a standard green and white sign. And if I get up close, Riley, hold up, buddy, hold up. It just says Appalachian National Scenic Trail, over 2,100 miles, maintained by local volunteer trail clubs, foot travel welcome, bicycles, vehicles, horses, and pack stock prohibited. The Appalachian Trail is managed and protected under the National Trails System Act. Okay, so that's a sign that's attached to trees very often on the trail. And I see it very frequently, but it's just not something that I've shown on camera, so I figured I would show it since it's something that appears so frequently. And when we got down to Indian Grave Gap, just back there was a little informational sign that said there's something called Beauty Spot, which is 2.3 miles from here. And the next shelter is Cherry Gap Shelter, which is 8.7 miles from here. we've already passed one shelter a few miles back. And that was just a few miles out of Irwin. And that shelter was very nice. It was like 2 floors, and it had a ladder going up to the 2nd floor, which was very nice. Most of the shelters I've been seeing recently have just been kind of like very basic shelters, just a single floor, and sometimes built only for 6 people, sometimes for 8 people. Very basic shelters, nothing that you would describe as fancy. But this is the first, the shelter I passed a short while ago. It would have been nice if I could have shown it on camera, but I'm sure I'll get to show many other nice shelters on camera. That was the first kind of fancy shelter that I've seen in a while. And Riley and I are hiking super well today. Slow down, Riley. Slow down, big guy. Slow down. Slow down, slow down. So my pack is actually very heavy coming out of Irwin because I resupplied on Riley's food and I stocked up on my food. So got a lot of food in my pack. And initially as I was hiking out, I felt good. And that's all because of the extra rest that I got between yesterday and today. And also just eating so much food. Sometimes after all the rest and refilling the stomach, it helps to make a very heavy pack not seem quite as heavy. But the heavy pack is starting to wear on me. So I'm doing okay, but I'm looking forward to settling down tonight and Riley and I eating some food to lighten the pack weight a bit. And then it'll just get lighter from there as we eat our good food down that we packed out from Uncle Johnny's. So I've got several treats that I've packed out. One of the treats is I packed out, like I had an enormous dinner last night of spaghetti noodles along with salad greens and broccoli and cauliflower and some carrots, mixed in with a whole bunch of dressings. I added some vegetable oil and balsamic vinaigrette and ranch dressing and Caesar dressing and some honey barbecue sauce. And I just kept adding dressings until I needed to add a lot of dressing because there was a lot of noodles and a lot of salad materials to cover. And I just kept adding dressings until everything seemed well balanced. And I ate last night until I was like really full. And there was still a lot of spaghetti noodles and salad left over. So I used my empty peanut butter jars. I had 2 peanut butter jars that were empty. And then I also found an empty peanut, like not a peanut butter jar, but a jar that contains actual peanuts that was empty. And I filled those empty jars with the salad that I wasn't able to eat and the spaghetti noodles that I wasn't able to eat last night. So I have some fresh food to look forward to eating tonight and possibly into tomorrow. And I was able to keep it in the refrigerator until I left, so it should stay fresh for a while. And I fed Riley a lot of dog food last night, so much so that he got full and he didn't want to eat anymore. And before I left today, I tried feeding him some more dog food because remember I got a 16-pound bag yesterday. So and there's no way I was going to be able to pack all that out. So I was trying to get him to eat as much as he wanted before we left so I wouldn't have to leave as much behind. And before we left, I gave him a bowl of food, and I also mixed it in with some canned pumpkin. And he was so full he couldn't eat it all, so I packed that out as well in one of the peanut butter jars. So he's gonna have a treat tonight as well with the canned pumpkin, because he really loves that. Oh. All right, so that's an update for now. I'll check in later. All right, so Riley, hello Riley, how you doing? We have been ascending the mountain ever since that sign back at Indian Grave Gap that said we were 2.3 miles from Beauty Spot. And I don't know where Beauty Spot is, but it seems like we're getting somewhat close. I don't know how we're gonna know when we get to Beauty Spot. Not sure if there's a sign there, and I don't remember Beauty Spot in particular from my previous hikes, even though I've been here twice in 2017 and 2018. But if I had to guess, it seems like we got to go down here and then up that mountain in this grassy bald, and then maybe at the top of that mountain, maybe that's Beauty Spot. So we'll find out soon. My pack is heavy, and I want to get a full day of hiking in, so I want to use the daylight before we stop so that we can make good progress. But whenever we do stop, I'm gonna be happy to take my pack off and lie down in my tent with Riley. All right, we'll check back in when we get close to the Beauty Spot. Riley, wait, Riley, you pulled me all the way over here. So let's at least spend a little while here while I take my camera out. So we are definitely getting close to Beauty Spot. Riley, wait up, wait. And the reason I know is the trail is over there. This is a campsite that Riley dragged me into. He likes to come into campsites because I think they have lots of smells that he's interested in. Anyway, so when we were on the trail back over there, I could see several hikers a little ways ahead. And I've heard that Beauty Spot is a very popular place for hikers to camp. So I'm guessing that all the hikers that are congregating up there is a sign that they're going to be camping there for the night. And so that must mean that it's Beauty Spot. But anyway, in this campsite, there's a nice spot here and very good views. Lots of mountains. By the way, on a video I think 2 days ago, I had mentioned that I was seeing like different shades of tree leaves. There were some that were light green and some that were dark green, and I was saying how I don't know if it's because of a shadow that's making the trees darker or if it's because it's a different kind of tree. Well, I'm pretty sure it's just that there's clouds overhead and it's creating a shadow. So like we can see the same thing over here, and I mean, you can see the clouds in the sky there. They're kind of all clustered together, and then there's no clouds over there. And where there's no clouds, it's bright green, and kind of closer to where there are clouds, it's dark green. So it's got to be a shadow. I think I've answered my question from a couple days ago. All right, Riley, let's continue on, buddy. Riley. Okay, well that is Beauty Spot right there. Riley and I stopped for a bit and chatted with several hikers. There's like 4 tents there and one guy who's cowboy camping, which means he's just gonna camp outside under the stars. Come on, Riley, hey. I'm enticing Riley with a treat. Yeah, there you go, buddy, good boy. Like, okay, come on. Riley. And there's a guy back there with 2 dogs. and Riley is now following me. Yeah, a guy back there had 2 dogs, and I saw him earlier on the trail today, and then we hiked all the way up here, which was a long way, and then he caught back up to me after I stopped for a little bit. And I get a little nervous if Riley gets too close to other dogs, because Riley gets temperamental sometimes. He often, I mean, he can be very playful, but he can also turn on a dime and get angry. So I don't want to risk any fights happening. So now we are a descending beauty spot. I didn't really want to set my tent up there because it's a little chilly up there, and we also have more daylight to continue hiking, and it also tends to get somewhat windy on balds. But the main reason is I just want to actually, another reason is I kind of like camping in privacy. I mean, it's nice to hang out with people, but I also enjoy camping in privacy along with Riley. So if we continue on, we'll have our own private spot, and I think I'll enjoy that more. So that's Beauty Spot, and we are continuing on, and hope everyone's doing well, and we will check in later on. We are back on another bald, and the trail just meanders kind of in the center here, and right next to that lone tree that's on the bald, and then I assume it just is going to duck back into the woods right over on the other side there. Hold up, buddy. And that's where we came from. This is the lone tree in the center of the bald here with a white blaze on it. Looks like there's a campsite back there. Pretty cool. Lots of balds that we're passing through. And in the next day, maybe even tomorrow, or maybe the next day, we're going to be coming up on Roan Mountain, which is a very popular tourist area. There's a parking lot nearby, and I remember from my previous hikes that lots of day hikers come to hike up Roan Mountain, and it's kind of similar in that it's a big bald on top, and it's not too strenuous hiking. It's kind of a very gentle hike up the mountain. So that will be cool when I get there. I'll be sure to take some footage. I know my cousin, one of my relatives, is hiking the trail also. His name is Brian Niebank, and he started the trail much earlier, but I remember when he did his hike over Roan Mountain this year, it was a very windy day. He mentioned it was like 40-mile-per-hour winds, and it was very memorable for him. So hopefully we'll have a more pleasant day when we hike over it. Riley just stops suddenly on the trail. He does that sometimes. Okay, we can take a break here. Alright, so Riley and Van Gogh here. It is about 9:30, and just want to close out the day. So Riley and I are in our tent site now. We made it about 2.5 miles past Beauty Spot, and we're able to find a good campsite, we had to start up going up another mountain called Unaka Mountain, Unaka, and we got about, I would say, 2/3 up the mountain, and yeah, we're able to find a nice tent site. So we are at mile 357.7, and we hiked 13.2 miles today, which is pretty good progress considering we started at like 2 p.m. from Uncle Johnny's. So one thing I haven't mentioned is, not sure how well it shows up in my just in the dark here, but this is one side of my tent here, and something unfortunate happened last night at the hostel. So after I signed off for the last time, Riley and I eventually got in our tent to go to sleep, and I then decided to go get a soda. I was in the mood for like a Sprite, and so I decided to go to the hiker fridge to get a soda, and I didn't want to bother Riley in terms of, I just didn't feel like asking him to walk with me because he was already settling down to go to sleep. So I decided to go by myself and leave Riley in the tent alone. And I got the soda, and then I was walking back to the tent, and Riley greeted me in the middle of the yard. And I was very surprised because I didn't know any safe way for Riley to get out of the tent. And so when I got back to the tent, I found, as I was expecting, that he had just cut a hole in the bug netting. And so this is what it looks like. There's just this hole right here. He must have just taken his paw and just swiped at it with his claws. And then there's also a, it's not just the bug netting, but it's also part of the zipper closure right here. So this zipper down here can zip all the way along here, but it can't zip like above like this part right here because the zipper's like basically broken there. So that was very I was very upset with myself last night for allowing that to happen. It was completely my fault. I just didn't think Riley would try to get out of the tent, but evidently he did. And he certainly didn't have a problem getting out. So yeah, it was totally my fault. And the lesson I've learned is pretty straightforward. I'm not going to leave Riley in the tent alone ever again. So fortunately, that, like, on the positive side, it could have been a lot worse. Like when Riley got out, he could have just ran off, or gotten into trouble with one of the other. Fortunately, there weren't any other dogs that were around, or cats, but there were cats earlier that were around. So fortunately, he didn't get into any trouble, and he came right to me. So the important thing is Riley's safe, and we're together, and we're both healthy. And I was able to order a new tent this morning. This tent, I mean, I'm glad the tent it's still usable. It's still provides protection from the rain, which is the most important thing, but it doesn't provide bug protection anymore, which is a pretty important feature of a tent. So anyway, so I was able to order a new tent this morning, and I'm going to have it delivered to a place called Boots Off Hostel, which is at close to mile 430 on the trail. So it's about It's about a little over 75 miles from where I am now. So hopefully by the time I get there, the tent will have arrived. And it costs like $230, so not a cheap mistake on my part, but again, could have been worse, and I'm lucky that the tent is something that's replaceable. I'm also going to try to see if the company Outdoor Vitals is possibly able to repair this the hole here by maybe just adding a whole new bug netting. I would certainly feel better if they are able to repair it for a reasonable cost. But anyway, so that's an update on my tent, and again, lesson learned is I'm not going to leave Riley alone in the tent. So with that, I will sign off for the night, and I hope everyone is doing well, and we will check back in tomorrow. Bye for now.